Hi, I'm Glenn Hughes.
And I'm Ed Muzio.
For 3 decades, I've been working inside a publicly traded company.
And for over a decade, I've been an entrepreneur supporting companies like Glenn's from the outside.
In this series, we look at the problems and challenges of the modern workplace
and provide our ideas and advice
from the inside
and out.
In management classes that Ed and I lead, one of the most frequent questions we get is, how can I retain my employees when I don't have the ability to dramatically influence their salary? So Ed, how do I retain you if I can't just magically double your salary?
Well, if you want to double my salary, I'm okay with that. But in addition to that, I think it would be useful if you knew something about why I was here. Meaning, is it that I like the technical challenge? Is it that I like to continue to learn? Do I feel like I'm helping people or contributing to society? We have some work we do in the space of understanding motivation, and I think that's a key thing that the manager should know, because you may be in a position to actually give me a whole lot of what I want. And it might not cost you anything if you just knew what that was. If you don't know what that is, then it's a shot in the dark, and you might actually pick the wrong thing and kind of turn me off. So I think one answer to any manager I would give is, do you understand really what's in it for your employees in the first place?
Yeah, I often say to managers, what keeps you here? Right? Just look in the mirror. Why are you here? If we haven't doubled your salary every year. Your manager has the same constraints that you have, and yet you're here. Use that moment of reflection to think about, what are the things that make me happy? And it's not that hard, right? Look down and give them the same things, I think.
Well, I might challenge you a little on the same things. I think the point's a valid one, which is there's something else keeping you here besides doubling your salary. I'd be careful to not make the assumption, for example, if you like public accolades, I can drag you on stage and say thank you in front of the whole group, and that's good. If I'm an introvert, you do that to me, that's not so good. So you have to be a little bit more custom than that, but I think the point's a good one, which is, it's not like you have double the salary every year and you're still here.
No, and you're right. You have to take it to the abstract, which is everyone likes being rewarded.
Right.
The way they're rewarded could be very different. Everyone likes being recognized. The way they're recognized could be very different. Everyone likes having autonomy. How much autonomy can be a variable. What are some of the other factors that you look at?
Well, I look at it as sort of, there's 2 ways to go. One of them is the way we already went, which has to do with match to the job. Does it match my values, my behavioral styles, those kind of things. The other whole category has to do with how well managed I am. That's an interesting conversation to have with the manager.
Yeah.
But if you're my manager and you set me up with clear goals and I can perceive progress and I can see that it's important and I'm getting the right kind of recognition commensurate with what I'm doing, that's a whole different scenario than if I'm trying to always guess what you want. You seem arbitrarily happy or angry. No one seems to care what I'm doing but you. Maybe you don't care either. That creates a really different environment. There's certainly been surveys about, I don't leave the job, I leave the manager. There's a whole question about how well you're managing the person that also comes into play here when you're thinking about employee retention.
I also have to pick on the word retain a little bit, because there's a little bit of a prisoner mentality to that. And I think it's one of those things, you will start to be able to retain people when you stop worrying about retaining them. We have a phrase that a few of my colleagues and I use called alumni, not prisoners. And I have this idea that if I'm working in this functional group, there's going to be people coming into my group and there's going to be people leaving my group. I actually want that, right? I want the input and the output, much like a university. A university succeeds because it's attracting people, but also because it's moving them out to better and bigger things. I think a work group is the same way. I will be able to attract people into my work group and keep them there if they believe that I'm not going to hold them prisoner there and that there will be an opportunity for them to walk out of my group as a better person. That enhances my network. It's also, paradoxically, when they know that I'll let them go at any time, they're in no hurry to go. Right. So I think that's a very useful thought process is how am I building my team to fill the people who are leaving?
Well, it's funny because I'm sure have had these conversations. I've had many of these conversations where someone will say, that person left and I was worried about it and it was the best thing that ever happened to us. So I definitely see managers get into this sort of mindset where they sort of think, I can't let anybody go because I just can't bear the time. What I want to say to managers is, it might not be the worst thing in the world if someone leaves. Even if someone really good leaves, that forces you to redevelop processes, train somebody else. That can be really good. So yeah, I think if you lose that mindset of I'm holding them here forever, that's important. And in an internal basis, like in your situation, if you see a manager in your company who won't let people transfer internally, all that does is drive them out of the company. If they're instead saying, let me help you move up as you go, and I'll coach you and help you take good jobs, not bad jobs, that's going to create a whole different environment for the whole rest of the team. I think that's worth doing.
No, and I've had that happen where someone I thought was very valuable left, and immediately I had 3 applications to come in the team. And when I asked why, they said, because I saw that guy left from your team and was able to get a promotion, you obviously set people up for career progress, right? And over time, I was able to more than satisfy my need, get churn in the team, get new ideas, get all of those things. So I think part of the answer to retaining people is don't worry about retaining people.
That's right. I heard a story about one of the fast food chains, and it was the only one, I forget which one it was now, but it was the only one who, instead of saying, we spend a minimal amount on training and we keep them forever, they said basically we're post-high school or during high school job training, and we're going to run it that way, and we expect people to come, we expect them to go, and we plan that way, because that's reality. Any kind of management planning you do that closer reflects reality is better, and the reality is people leave.
Yep. So let's ask our managers out there, how are you going to retain your employees?
And do you have to?